Welcome. We're talking to you today about Healy and horses. My name's Jeanette Wilson. I'm a healer based in New Zealand and the UK. And my special guests in the studio today are Craig Lyle, who's a healer originally from South Africa, Inky Vink, who introduced Craig Lyle to the Healy, and Craig introduced me to the Healy, and Kate Hewlett, who is a renowned international show jumper. Is that the right title?
Eventer first.
Eventer.
I used to be an eventer, but then we got the stallion here, Cappuccino, and he's too big to be an eventer. So we've been show jumping for the last 5 years, I think.
Wow. And so you've even ridden at badminton, I understand?
Yes, on a different stallion, Internet. It was owned by Joss Bailey. And yeah, we did badminton and Burley and British Open championships.
So all the big events.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Katie's something of a household name here in New Zealand. And what's been happening is the people in this meeting today have had some experience with horses, which we'll talk about, and using the Healy. So I'm going to start off with Inky. Tell us, what was your first experience with the Healy and your horse Diamond?
So we've got a pony. His name's Diamond. He's about 13 years old. And he wasn't himself for about a week. And a few days before I decided to use the Healy on him, we had our horsey girl, Farrier, come out and check his hooves. And she said that he had something under his hoof, and just to keep an eye on it. And so then I said to Stuart, my husband, I said, Diamond's not himself lately. And he was like, oh yeah, I've noticed that as well. And so he brought him down to the house, and I did a resonance scan on him, which was amazing, because it came up that he was in chronic pain and depressed, and oh my goodness, that just broke my heart. I was just, I felt awful. So I decided I was going to send him some frequency vibrations, and I did, and they were very short. And that first photo is him with his head down, not really responding to me, being quite agitated. And I ran a very short frequency of 2 minutes and 49 seconds to him, and decided to walk down to the beach with him. And on the way down to the beach, I took the second photo, and you can see the change in his eyes.
It's like a different pony,
yeah,
isn't it?
his head up again, walking, and just back to his beautiful self. So for the next week, I kept sending him bark vibrations, which are really, really good to run on animals, and saw a change in him. So when I'd go to the paddock and call him, he'd stop eating, look up, and walk on over to me. Whereas before, like a few days before that, he wouldn't. He just ignored me. He was like, meh. So he must have been really depressed.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing to see how that has changed, and just brought the best of him out again. Yeah.
Now, you've talked about a few things there that people watching this for the first time might not understand. So you talked about how you did an analysis scan on Diamond. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means?
Okay. So there are 4 Healy editions, and all the Healys in each edition, it's the same little device. It's this. I have the Resonance edition, which is the edition that you can do resonance scans on people and animals with. You download the app onto your smartphone. You decide which program it is you want to run once you've done the scan, the resonance scan on the animal, and you transmit the program to the Healy, and it runs its course.
All right, so if I've got this right, so the scan will give you some feedback in terms of what is wrong with the animal in terms of vibrations. So it's not diagnosing diseases, it's just telling you vibrationally what's wrong. And then it will select for you the vibrations to send to the animal.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound exciting? Wonderful. And just 2 minutes 49, did you say?
2 minutes 49 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? Okay, so after you'd worked with Diamond, which was the next horse that you worked on?
So then Craig contacted me and said, Kate, who I also know from Kerry, that she has had some bad luck with one of her horses, Laura, and if I'd be willing to go over to Red Cliffs Equestrian and go and check this horse out. Now, I was like, yes, of course I'm going to go. And I went over and it was a wet, rainy, yucky day. It was awful. We went out in the rain in our gumboots and did a resonance scan on this horse who, Kate, would you like to say what happened to your horse?
So she and her mates were meant to go back down to the paddock, and they didn't go to the paddock. They ran back up the track and ran all around the arena and into the stable area, and there happened to be a steel stake kind of a thing, and they went in, and as they turned around and came out, she must have stood on it with her back foot. And so when they went back down to the paddock, I saw that it was bleeding, but didn't think it would be as bad as it was. So then the next day it was starting to swell, and it ended up swelling all the way up to the hock. That's of her today that we took this morning. All of the swellings come out. So when I got my Healy, I started sending her programs every day, even a few times a day, and every day there was huge improvement in her. Because at first I thought she would, maybe we could just at least keep her for a brood mare. But now I'm thinking that she'll be back as a riding horse. She's 6 years old, so she had a foal last year, so she missed out on her 5-year-old season. But I'd say she'll be out there this season.
And that's her in the paddock after the treatment, isn't it? Compared to, we'll just go
That's
back to that one
Mm.
before.
Yeah,
and
she
she
lost
was looking really thin, wasn't she?
Yeah, she lost heaps of weight, but it's all piling back on now really quickly.
Awesome. That's amazing.
And she's much happier and friendly again and perky. She even cantered up to me the other day to come and get her feed.
Amazing. And that was 3 weeks ago, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Not even 3 weeks
Yeah.
yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so Buzz is the next one we're going to talk about. Tell us about Fuzz. Sorry,
Fuzz.
Fuzz. Fuzz. Tell us about Fuzz.
So Fuzz is a horse that I found for Tim. He used to bolt on people at show jumping shows, and was just very uptight and worried. Always had his head up high. Even if he would see things from far away, he would get worried about it. He's very difficult to catch. And the day that Inky came, he was in the stable, and he was in his usual self,
Anxious
up,
and
anxious,
worried.
really jittery. And we started doing the resonance analysis, and each time I went to lift my hand to put his mane on the resonance, he would be worried again. But then as soon as we started the program, it was incredible.
It was amazing.
His head just got lower. He was doing the biggest yawns I've ever seen a horse do.
And he had a little shake, and the
Yeah.
energy just changed. His whole
Wow. It
vibe
was
changed.
amazing.
Yeah. And then he even came up to me and nuzzled me. I was
Cool.
that was so cool. That was so
it was
neat.
like he was saying thank you.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So Kate, you've been around horses for a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, not anything that makes a change like that. Like, I've done contact care over the years, and you see a change in the horses, but this is just something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
And so the thing is, horses, if they're not well, will still need to see vets. We're not saying don't take them to the vet, but in the meantime, this is something that you can use to supplement your horse's well-being, not just health, but their emotional well-being, by the sound of things.
Absolutely.
Just going to hand over to you, Craig, because I know you've kept horses in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your experience with horses. And
So back in South Africa, I breed with Appaloosa horses. I've had South African champions. I've produced a number of champions in eventing and all sorts of things. I have some of the best Appaloosa bloodlines in the world, actually, and I have some really great horses. So I'm very familiar with horses, and I was working with Kate, going to the shows with them in a truck with sometimes 20-odd horses, you know,
23.
the truck and a trailer, and I would go there. I'm a Reiki master at a medical intuitive, and I work on people and horses. So I'd go with Kate and Tim and the whole family and all the riders down to these shows, and when someone fell off, I'd do healing on them. One of the kids would stand up and knock their head on the cupboard, and I'd help them with that to take the pain away. And so I was sort of an all-round healer for kids, people, horses, and everything in between. And when I saw this thing, I got a hold of Kate and I said to her, listen, girl, you've just got to get one of these, because this thing is absolutely miraculous. And she was saying to me, oh man, you know, I don't think I can spend that sort of money. I said, listen, I'm telling you, get this thing. And I don't think she's regretting it, because before she even got hers, she had some miraculous. That horse you're talking about, the interesting thing about these horses, those of us that work with them, and if you know horses, body language is everything in a horse. Mm-hmm. If you look at Inky's pony, you look at the eye, you can see in a horse's eye how they are. You just look at an eye, you can see how they're doing. And you look at the ears, and in that first picture, the eyes, you say you can see the horse is not well, ears are slightly back. In the second one, you can see the ears are forward. Now that's a complete change in the body language of the horse. That's really a horse that's in a completely different body language. So when I do healings on horses, I put my hands on them, and I normally put my hand on the wither and then on the pole. Within 10 or 20 or 30 seconds, you'll see the head drop down, because they're connecting to my energy, and they sense my energy, and it's really quick. I did some horses yesterday, and a 17 two-hand, really big mare that's hurt her foot quite badly, and I put my hand in her, and it's like they just know you're there to help. And within 10 or 20 seconds, they just drop the head down. And when a horse drops its head, it's comfortable. It keeps its head up and looking like that, because it's wondering what's coming to attack it next. It's in a fight or flight mode, yeah. So the minute they drop their head, it's a sign of them being comfortable and having confidence with who's there to look after them. So with you, Inky, when the horse just dropped its head and come up to you, it's like that body language just changes completely. So I said, when I do healings, horses change really quickly, and then they'll just bend towards you, because they know that you've come there to help them. You know, as I've said it before, humans, it takes a little bit longer, because our minds are thinking all sorts of things, you know. Whereas a horse, when they connect to you, they just respond to it immediately. And it's amazing how with this device, I did that horse yesterday. So a really big horse, put that thing on her, and as we're doing the healing, she just relaxed completely. This massive horse that could really hurt you if she wanted to. I've never met the horse before, first time I've been there, and she just trusted me completely. I'm doing my healing and sending my energy, but the Healy's doing it as well. So I said to Kate, man, you've just got to get one of these, and I think it's the best decision she's ever made in her life. You know,
Definitely.
She won't need me at the shows anymore. But I'll come along and watch you jumping and winning like you normally do with your whole team. You know.
Awesome. So, Kate, I know that since working on Laura and Foz, you've also had the chance to work on some more horses. Do you want to tell us about what other results you've got?
Yeah, and I'll just say another thing about Fuzz too. A friend that comes and helps us on the weekends went and caught Fuzz, and he actually walked up to her.
Oh, wow.
And like, for a stranger to go and do that with him is unheard of.
Wow.
So that was a beautiful change.
Yeah.
She must be very special.
Yeah. So then the other horses, there's one that we've been starting for the last 2 months, and he is very sensitive, and he wanted to buck, and the day that I did the Healy on him, Tim worked him later on that afternoon and hopped on him for the first time and felt comfortable to hop on him. So
After you'd run a Healy session on him.
Cool.
And another mare that had been in the same program, so 2 months she's been getting started, and she would never stand still when we put the saddle on her. And this day, an hour after I had done the resonance on her, she stood there.
That's awesome.
Stood still.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So last night I worked on 3 horses, and one of them is an ex-thoroughbred. And of course, Kate, you'll know they can be really, really hot and really flighty. And it was just before dinner, it was getting dark, and the food's coming. That's the worst time to try and work on a horse. I always tell people, don't let me come there dinner time, because the horse has no interest in you, it's just seeing food, you know. And this horse was really sort of agitated and going round in circles and just wanted to stand still. And after just a few minutes of having the Healy running with it, and thoroughbreds are really hard to get to settle down, as you know. If they get hot, they don't settle down easily, you know. And just a few minutes, by the time I was finished, that horse had its head down low, still hadn't had its supper, but it dropped its head down and it stood. And I don't want to exaggerate, I said to this friend of mine, I said, this horse hasn't moved a single foot for like minutes. It's literally just stood there, head down, and like you say, you just see the yawning coming, the licking and chewing, and thoroughbreds are really, they're easy to get worked up, as you know. And it just stood there, calm as could be, within minutes, waited for its dinner, it was all good, It's just amazing.
It's very exciting, isn't it? These are, the Healys have not been in this country very long. They've not been worldwide very long, but already we're finding lots of different applications for them. Now, if people want to know more, you can get in touch with the person that shared this video with you. Hope you've enjoyed our presentation. Have a beautiful day.